What's up guys, Crane here from LogicLounge.com, back with another flight simulation video. Today we're going to be doing an even longer flight than we did in our last video. Today we're going from Los Angeles to Sydney in Australia. Yes, we are practically spanning the entire Pacific Ocean from north to south to get there. We are currently sitting on the ground in Los Angeles at the international terminal. It's called the Tom Brady International Terminal. We're around the I guess it's the 300 gates, maybe? Is that what it's called? I don't even remember what it's called. But we are here loading up for our Virgin Australia flight. This is Velocity 2, Virgin Australia, but their call sign is Velocity, so it's Velocity 2. Velocity 1 is the flight that goes from Sydney to Los Angeles. So let's go ahead, hop in the cockpit here. Hopefully you saw that opening shot. It was pretty dark, but I think that in my post-production I can bring it up to be a bit brighter. So first off, as always, let's get started by putting in our fuel and payload. So let me make one quick, yes, we're doing in pounds today, which is awesome. So we are at a very heavy flight today, which is going to be taking a lot of fuel on board today. We're doing 296. Actually, we'll make that 297. So 279,000 pounds of fuel. That's a 92% fuel load. This is the outermost stretches of this plane, and you'll see why here when we get to our payload, which is going to be a zero fuel weight today of 475.8, which makes us fairly heavy. We're taking 16 and a half hours of fuel with a projected flight time of just over 14 hours in the air. So it's a very, very long flight. In a flight like this, there's actually a relief crew on the plane for the crew. So what we'll do right now is we'll do our overhead scans now, starting from the left and going to the right as always. So first up, we'll kick on the ADIRU, which is our navigation equipment. We'll flip on the emergency lights to arm. Nothing with the hydraulics right now, nothing with this center panel, and we'll put our packs on to auto. So that's pretty much from a turnaround state to a now preparing for departure state. Now that we have the ADIRU going, we're going to come down here to our FMC and do what we always do and get it set up for our flight. It says nav date is out of date. It's like 1 day out of date for me, so that's fine here. So we'll use our GPS position, of course, to put our inertial position in here. Then we'll go to our route and we'll activate our route. So our route today is from KLAX to YSSY01, and that should populate in company route here. Oh, you know what I haven't done? I have forgot to do Active Sky. There we go. Get Active Sky going here, which is our weather program. Now, without Active Sky running, it would have given me different wind conditions. So it's loading up now here, and we'll do the route request. It will now request our route. In real life, what it would be doing is it would be using satellite communication to communicate with the headquarters for Virgin Australia, which will then send the route via satellite back to the plane, and it will auto-populate in the FMC, which is doing here. So we'll load it up now, and we'll let the Route 1 uplink load. Today's going to be an interesting flight since we are not only doing an ETOPS flight, but we're doing an ETOPS 330-minute flight. That is one of the longest ETOPS flight ratings. So ETOPS flight ratings are how long you can go with one engine of flight. And because of the track record of the 777, that basically allows it that if you are in one engine, you'll need to be only 330 minutes from the nearest airport, which gives it so much more versatility when doing routes like this. So now we'll activate the route here. We'll head to our preference initialization page. Our cruise altitude today is going to be flight level 280, but we're going to be step climbing all along the route to go higher and higher, which is awesome. So we have everything configured in here. We'll go to our wind data uplink now. When I was talking about getting the correct wind data, we'll definitely get that now, as well as going to our destination wind data, which it loads in a current forecast, but we'll redo this on the way down because there's going to be a lot of time in between when we take off to when we land, and that wind data can change. So now that we're done here, we'll come back to our departures and arrivals page. Our departure today, checking my flight plan, is going to be the Zilly 2 departure. And from the Zilly 2, we are doing, I believe it's 25 right for departure. 25 right or 24 left? I think we're closer to 24 left. We'll take 24 left today, and that is going all the way out to what are we doing it today? Dubuque or Lower? Okay, we're doing Lower, like so. So that is our departure. We'll now check it on our map here. So we'll come right back up. So I can click that and click that. And so we'll come back down here to our legs page, and we'll just check our departure here on our top screen while I step through it. So we'll be coming out straight and then making a left-hand turn, and then a right-hand turn straight on out to our oceanic departure point. And then from there, it's all the way across the Pacific Ocean, and we should end up at our final point before we put in our departure of Marlin. And I think our arrival is the Marlin arrival. So that looks all good and well. No discontinuities there, so I'll check off our flight plan for being A-OK. Now from here, what we can do is we can set up our takeoff page. So it'll be flaps 15 today. We'll be using full thrust because of how heavy we are, so we're not going to be using any D rates today. Our V1 is 168, our rotate speed is 177, and our V2 speed is 183. Those are pretty high speeds because of how heavy we are today. So our takeoff weight today is 771,000 pounds. Our maximum takeoff weight, 775,000 pounds. We're less than 4,000 pounds off of our max takeoff weight today, so we're very, very heavy. So like I said, we're not going to be doing any derating today because of that, because we're just so heavy today. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to come all the way up here and start our checklists. Oops, I had my checklists on, so we'll turn them back on. So here we go. Oxygen is tested at 100%. Our flight instruments are all good to go. Parking brake is set. Fuel control switches are in cutoff. So from here, we won't do our before start checklist just yet, as we'll wait for some other things to happen before we get that. But we'll set up our MCP right now. So like I said, our takeoff speed is 183, so we'll set that now. So 183. Like I said, our heading will be, I think, about a 245 degrees. Yeah, right about 245. Maybe 24... something along those lines. Boarding is complete. Fantastic. Because we have no ATC today, we'll be going straight on up to flight level 280. Actually, let me check to see here what our optimal is. Progress. Oh, no, it's in VNAV. It's always in VNAV. Maximum is 312. So we could, if we wanted to, go to flight level 300. Maybe we'll do that right before we get into oceanic entry. But for right now, we'll keep it at 280. Since it's going to be pretty windy out here. We have a scheduled departure time. The actual scheduled departure time is 35 minutes past the hour. We're currently 16 minutes past the hour right now, so we're actually getting pretty close to that actual departure time, which is very cool because I like to stay within confirmation of it. So that is something that I just love to have. We have everything set up here. Let's see how everything is going outside right now. So is everything backing away? Yes, it is. So we'll be getting started here very, shortly. Today's going to be an interesting flight since we are going across the Atlantic, or not the Atlantic, excuse me, the Pacific Ocean. This is a very long flight. Like I said, it's 14 hours long, so we'll have different things set up for ETOPS, and that's the extended range performance, like I talked about that earlier. That's basically how far you can be away from an aircraft, or from an airport, excuse me, how far you can be away from an airport. And the 777, because of its track record of being such a great aircraft, they upped it to 330 minutes, meaning that you can be pretty far away from a airport, which is awesome because it's a safe aircraft for one, and the other part is that you can use it for better tracks and get better fuel efficiency because you don't have to be as close to an airport as normally responsible. So I'm just setting up one thing right here real quick. That's why I'm not really clicked into the... Yes, no, yes, okay. Are we good? We're good. Okay. Oop. And now I kind of crashed everything. Oh, there we go. All right, so let's head back into the cockpit now. We will get ourselves ready for the pushback, and to do that, we'll start by closing down all of our doors. So let's say that everything is done and finished, which it is. So we'll close our cargo hatches, which takes the longest to close. We'll close all of our doors. Actually, I think I just opened one on accident here. We'll arm that door. We'll arm that door. Let's bring up the door page for us. Here you can see closing that door. So this is a great page so that pilots can actually see what's happening. They can see that the A means that the doors are to automatic. That means if they were pulled for emergency, that's when their rafts would deploy or the emergency equipment would deploy. M means manual, so that's kind of like a manual override. So you can see our rear entry 5 is on manual right now, so we'll go ahead and arm that door. So now that we're set up for that, I'm going to go ahead and activate us for pushback. I want to facing north. Yes, facing north. So now that we're getting that all together, make sure I have that brake pulled. Yes, I do. We're going to go into our checklist now. Oops, I want to be in the center for the checklist. And we'll go ahead and do this. So flight deck door is closed and locked. We'll go ahead and come back up to our overhead panel here and get us set up for our pushback. So getting set up for pushback, we're going to turn on our fuel pumps. All of them are coming on because we have fuel in the center tank here. You'll see that the yellow cautionary lights will turn off. And we'll get our APU started up now. During this time, we can also pressurize our hydraulic system. So that means that the hydraulics will now be pressurized. Because we are starting up our APU and we're becoming a live aircraft, we want to turn on our beacon and wing lights to make us a little bit more noticeable on the ground and to tell people around us that, hey, we're starting up our engines. We're about to start up our engines, so steer clear wherever possible. So while that is doing, we're getting ourselves checked up there. We can come back down here to our checklist and continue here. Oops, I forgot to turn the passenger signs on. Oh no. I have a runway, there we go. Runway camera controls there for a second. So I want to turn on passenger seat belts into the on mode. Fantastic. And now everything is set up. So MCP is all set. Our takeoff speeds are as follows: 168 V1, 177 for rotate, 183 for V2. CDU pre-flight is complete. Our trim today will be 7 units. That's actually something that we can do right now. So we'll do, is it flight controls? Yes, I think it's flight controls. So flight controls, our trim stabilizer today is 7 units. That is a big difference for this aircraft at 7 units. So we're closing 7 units for trim. And our taxi and takeoff will be as follows. It's pretty much just a straight ahead and then one right turn, and then we'll be pretty much at the end of the runway. So that's our taxi and takeoff briefing completed. Beacon light is on, of course. So everything is good there. Our before taxi, we're not just there yet, so we'll pull back. Turn off the checklists. On this left inboard, we'll do our air. I believe our APU is running. Yes, it is. So what we'll do now is we'll turn on our transponder. And from there, we will go ahead and take out our ground equipment. And we'll get prompted from our pushback tug for what we need to do now. We'll wait for him to kick in here. It usually takes a couple seconds. Oh, I think we can also remove the sky bridge. There it goes. Moving back. Get everything detached here. We'll start our right-hand side timer, which times our block off and block on time. So that's considered our block off time by us removing everything. And now we'll go ahead and release our parking brakes. So this is FS Dream Team's Los Angeles airport scenery, which is just a great scenery. They're very detailed. It looks very nice. So I always love using third-party scenery just because it can provide a better experience than some may be used to with just the default scenery, because you wouldn't have all these great visuals if you didn't have this type of scenery. So we're on the pushback here, which is actually going to take a while to push back, because this is a kind of a heavy gate area, so all these parking spots are pretty in deep so that vehicles won't clash with the large aircraft. So we'll continue pushing back here. I love the terminal. It's very large. It's at the end of the airport here. So I think once we begin turning, we'll start the engines here as we push back. So we'll be taking off from the north end of the airport. It's one of their later night departures, so the airport isn't as busy as it is. So we'll go ahead now and start the right-hand side engine. You can see that N2 building up. We'll put our fuel in as we'll come over here and hear that baby purr on to life. I love when it starts its hum. Just a great sound from that engine.
What's your gate number? 54 Alpha. Supposed to be open. It is. Plan to roll down to the last high-speed Hotel 9er, Delta 128. Hotel 9, Delta 128.
Oh, there's an aircraft taking off right there.
1195, contact SoCal departure. Over SoCal, United 11 time, good day. That's 937, cost from Rachel Moon, traffic will cross, runway 25 right, line up and wait. Runway 25 right, line up and wait, Delta 937.
All right, and there's number 1 on. And we'll go ahead and start number 2. Actually, that's engine 1. But this is the second one to turn on. I think that texture's out of place. I'm fairly certain that texture's out of place. That seems way too close to the wingtip to be... Yeah, that texture has to be out of place, so I don't think I'm having a scenery glitch there. But this guy's now pulling away. Now they're pulling away there for us. Should see them right about there. There they are. So now we're just waiting for our engines to stabilize now, for all the computer systems to kind of stabilize, get us in a good position, and then we'll start our before taxi checklist. 'Cause the one thing that we do want to do is get off of APU power before we get underway. So that all looks A-okay here. So now we're going to go to our before taxi checklist after we turn off our APU. So before taxi checklist is as follows. The anti-ice is off. It's not needed today. It's pretty warm outside. Our recall is checked. Recall is good. Our APU is in cool down mode. Parking brake is set. Passenger signs are on. Doors are to auto. All A-okay. Auto brake is turned on to RTO, which is something we want. That's our rejected takeoff. Flight controls. Oh, we'll check our flight controls here. So I think it's that button and then that button. That may have been the wrong button. Yeah, that was the wrong button. Crap. Turn it off. There we go. That was the wrong button. MFD, left inbound, flight controls. So I'll do our flight controls now. So full left, 2 up, 2 down. Full right, 2 left, 2 down, 2 up. And full back, which is 2 up. And then full forward, which is 2 down. And then full left, which is full left, and then full right, which goes full right. So our flight controls are normal and responding well, so perfect. I want to get back up here to get to our checklist. And flight controls are checked, ground equipment is clear, and we are good to go there. So now what we do is we want to check our left-hand side. Everything looks clear. Check our right-hand side, make sure our tug and got away, and it is. It's over there somewhere. Perfect. So we will turn on our taxi light here. Turn off these lights and add some power. Of course, after taking off the parking brake. And now we're on our way. Taxiing forward here. I think we'll have an early departure today. I think 5:35 is when this flight is supposed to take off, and I think we'll take off right around 5:32-ish, maybe 5:33, depending on how fast we taxi today, because this runway is a lot closer than the 2.5s. 2.5s are kind of far away. So, because we're in a heavy aircraft, we kind of have to use a little bit more oomph to get going and to taxi. So like I said, we're going down to Sydney today. Sydney's scenery today is provided by Fly Tampa. Fly Tampa makes great sceneries. The Sydney is one of their newest. It looks fantastic. It's got great graphics all over, which I just absolutely love. So we'll be coming down here, and I think we want the second left. Yes, we want the second left. So I love this just dark cockpit. It looks very nice. By taxiing from back here, I love the green glow of the switches and everything. I think it looks really, really nice here. So we'd be turning right onto Echo from not a very ideal position, but we are turning right nonetheless. On Echo.
Delta 333, good day.
And we'll do our before takeoff checklist, which means we'll put our flaps down to 15. That's perfect. We're approaching the end of the runway here, so we'll go ahead and do our before takeoff checklist is complete. So we'll close that out. As we get down here towards the end of the runway. It's going to be a long flight. Today we'll be flying pretty much straight over Hawaii, and then going on down over the islands south of Hawaii, and then over New Zealand and into Sydney. Should be a fun flight. A long flight. This flight takes off at 10:30 at night, so I'm taking off right now. I'll be going to sleep, and then I'll be waking up about an hour and a half before we're due to touch down in Sydney to complete the flight. So I'll be taking a quick nap before we do that, since this is a 14-hour long flight. So we don't want this left at Echo 8. We actually want, I think it's Echo 9? Or I'm sorry. Oh, it's Victor. They renamed it to Victor. Is it Victor? Yeah, it's Victor. That's the one I want. So Victor at 24 left. So now that we're entering the runway, we can turn on all of our lights to make ourselves known. As we come around the corner here, be doing kind of a wide arch here to kind of get ourselves lined up. Ooh, that was almost a perfect lineup. All right, everything is good. We all feel good to go. Go ahead and hit toga, and we will be off. I will start our flight timer now. Here we go. Thrust is set. That was 80 knots. V1. Rotate. Slowly bringing that nose up. On the 777, you need to bring your nose slowly up because you are longer than a 777-200. You need to make sure that you don't do a tail strike, because that can be bad business. So right now it's just taking off straight ahead here, and we'll click on the autopilot here. Gear is up. We're climbing at a good click and pace. So now we can turn on our weather radar here.
Flexure 452. Flexure 452.
And we'll go flaps 5.
At 11:17,
we'll be leaving the California coast, and we won't see land again for another 13 hours, maybe 12 hours, because we'll see New Zealand and maybe Hawaii. It's going to be dark out, so you have to kind of look for it. But we're pretty much going right over Hawaii, so we'd be able to see the islands, at least. They're glow in the nighttime. And this flight lands in the morning for Sydney. So we'll go flaps 1 now. You see me, I'm clicking this button right here, trying to click on it. What it does is it clears out any altitude restrictions and will just send us straight up to flight level 280, which is something I want to do since there is no ATC on right now. So we're heading straight out to our oceanic entry point today, which is our oceanic entry point today is Ficky, F-I-C-K-Y. Ficky is our oceanic entry point, and that's where we have to do all the oceanic stuff, which is fun because it has to do with radios and satellite communications and all that stuff. So now that we're making our first turn and we're out of 5,000 feet, we'll do our after takeoff checklist, which is our landing gear is up, flaps is up, so takeoff checklist is completed, and we won't need that for a while. So unfortunately, I wish I had more content for you guys, as there's not a lot really to see as we get on our way up to flight level 280. Ooh, you can see everything behind us as we'll make our way up to flight level 280. I have anything else really for you guys. That this is just going to be a long flight, and I hope you guys enjoy. We'll talk more on the descent, but for right now, I'll leave you with our classic time lapse of climbing up to flight level 280. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And of course, I will see you guys in part number 2.